Hey guys, it's me. I'm still a little wiped out from that last video, so I've just kind of been laying here at what's left of this castle for the past few days. Patrick is still busy cleaning up the entire world, and when he's done, I guess we'll do the Clone Wars Season 1 video. Anyway, while I was laying here, I watched some movies on my computer. Let's talk about those movies. There was a movie called The Suicide Squad that came out. Now, a lot of people have pointed out that I don't typically review DC movies, and it's not because I have any sort of vendetta against the company or their characters, it's mostly because I don't really care. Marvel has earned my trust by having a consistent level of quality with their films and TV shows, while DC, despite having the potential to knock it out of the park on occasion, usually doesn't. I'll watch stuff that I hear is good, like Wonder Woman or Shazam, but I don't make it a personal mission to seek out every single DC movie just to keep up with this extremely loosely connected cinematic universe. I have never seen the original Suicide Squad movie, and I never will. What's the point? With that said, I watched this one because it was made by James Gunn, and the Guardians films are amazing, so logic dictates that this one would probably be amazing as well. So, was it?
Bird.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. This is the most fun I've had with a comic book movie since Spider-Verse. I really mean that. I guess I'll get some problems out of the way first. I feel like this movie didn't have to be as long as it was, and the pacing was a bit slow at parts. Like this extended sequence where Harley goes on a date with this warlord. That's a lot of time spent away from our main characters, and it was a little difficult to adjust to. Speaking of Harley, I also thought that while most of the characters had the potential to die, and I was always uncertain if they were going to make it out or not, I never felt any sense of danger with Harley Quinn, because there's no way they would ever kill off Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn when she's like the face of the DCEU at this point. Her scenes really didn't have much tension because it was always obvious she was going to be perfectly fine. It kind of bordered on plot armor at a few points though. The villains just refused to kill her so many times, and it's pretty comical considering how many named characters die in the rest of the film. Other than that, I don't really have any other problems. This film is rock solid. The characters are all immensely likable and hilarious. Their personalities are distinct and they play off of each other incredibly well. The movie gives them plenty of time to bond with each other and develop their relationships. Plus there's a ton of really funny jokes and sequences, as you'd expect from a James Gunn film. The R rating is honestly a godsend. It really started to hit me just how neutered the Guardians films are in terms of what they can get away with their humor and brutality. Here, James Gunn is operating at his fullest capacity. The gore is a delight, as is the raunchy humor. Basically, this is what you'd get if Deadpool was an actual movie. I just had an absolute blast with the vast majority of this film. It hardly ever takes itself seriously and feels completely unashamed to be a comic book movie. The Harley action scene, while tensionless, was still pretty cool and well put together. The twist in the third act with one of the characters was well done. There's a ton of great setups and payoffs within the script. I would die for King Shark. He is so wholesome. The giant starfish villain is a thing of beauty, and exactly the kind of weird-ass concept I want to see in comic book movies. Speaking of weird-ass concepts, Polka Dot Man. Need I say more? It's Polka Dot Man. I think my favorite character was Ratcatcher 2. She just felt like the emotional center of the film, and I was really invested in her story despite the fact that she controls a bunch of rats, and that's kinda horrifying on paper. But it ended up being wholesome as heck. Why is this movie so damn good? I also think that one of the movie's strongest attributes is the fact that you don't really know which characters are gonna live and which ones are gonna die, with the exception of Harley Davidson over there. But for the rest of them, I was on the edge of my seat. I love these characters. I really wanted them to be okay. I can't remember the last time I felt actual stakes and tension quite like this during a comic book film. And it was all tremendously well done. I had a blast. Even if you're not a fan of DC Comics or their movies, there's so much to love in this one, and I would highly recommend it. I'm giving this one a big ol' 9 out of 10. The other movie I saw was Vivo, and I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that most of you clicked on this video for the Suicide Squad and you've never even heard of Vivo. I would have never heard of it if it weren't for people telling me I should review it, since Netflix has not really been doing a good job advertising it. So here we go. Vivo is the latest Sony animation film, the third of 4 this year, following The Mitchells vs. the Machines and this movie about a dragon that grants wishes. I didn't watch it. Vivo stars a monkey named Vivo, voiced by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh, how good! Okay, I guess it's time to talk about Lin. I got a lot of comments on the Tamatoa video wondering what exactly my beef is with him, so I guess it's time to spill the tea, as you kids say. First of all, there's some political things he's done to Puerto Rico that are kinda shady, namely his heavy support of the Puerto Rico Oversight Management and Economic Stability Act, also known as PROMESA. I've linked a couple articles about it in the description if you'd like to learn more, because I don't really want to get into that in a movie review. I'm not brave enough for politics. And don't worry, I have plenty of non-political reasons to not like Lin. I forget when exactly it hit me, but have you ever just thought about how obnoxious and self-serving it is to write a musical and then cast yourself as the lead? Especially when you don't have the singing chops to back it up? Lin is not a bad singer per se, but he's not a strong one either. And he's always the weakest vocalist in every project he's in. He's a moderately charismatic actor, and he's always solid at rapping. But I just find it so incredibly annoying that he specifically writes less vocally demanding lead roles for himself, and manages to get away with it without any scrutiny. It feels like most of the backlash directed towards Lin as an artist is for the songs he writes, but I honestly think that's where he really excels and where he should stay. Just as a songwriter. If he really wants to be part of his own cast, then he should cast himself in a less crucial role, like that of the Piragua guy. But this almost smug insistence that he needs to be the lead in everything he writes just really rubs me the wrong way. And I'm also just tired of hearing his speaking voice. It's not like James Corden bad or anything, but it just personally rubs me the wrong way. Probably due in part to all the things I just went over, subconsciously making me dislike hearing him. But how is the movie? Pretty good, actually. I really like how it's no longer an anomaly for Sony Pictures Animation to make a good film. They can just do it, because it's clear they're a very talented studio with some very talented people behind these films. Vivo is a very cute story about a monkey taking a journey through Florida, which, after watching this movie, is a place I'm pretty sure I never want to visit ever. No offense, Floridians. A lot of this movie is just your typical stock kids movie journey sort of thing, but it's vibrant and fun and lighthearted, and it does the job. Where the movie really stands out is with its emotional core. It reminded me a lot of Up, actually. And while it's not quite as strong, it deserves to be talked about in the same breath. I was honestly really surprised at how invested I got in the emotions this movie set up. They were very well done, and I did actually cry towards the end. Yeah, it really was that well done. While the beginning and end are the best parts by far, the middle isn't bad. There's some fun antagonists like this giant snake played by Yondu and this crazy batch of Girl Scouts who shame people for using plastic bags. It's pretty fun stuff. Also, this is a musical, and Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote all the songs, and they're fine. Some are kinda good, but they're mostly just fine. They work for the story, they're not bad. With the exception of this one song sung by the main girl, that shit sucked. Also, as is the case with every Lin-Manuel Miranda project, the worst part of this movie is Lin-Manuel Miranda. He voices the main character Monkey, and he's kind of annoying at times. I don't think he's a very good voice actor, he just feels really out of place. But I mean, he's not awful, he's not James Corden, it's perfectly fine, and I was still invested in the character's quest. The weird part is that even though we hear the monkey talking and singing, none of the humans in the movie actually understand him. So it's like, why does he talk at all then if he can't verbally communicate with the other characters? Well, I guess it's because then he couldn't sing. Wow, I really needed to hear Lin sing. Thank you, movie! It probably sounds like I don't like this film, but despite Lin's best efforts, I do. I think it's a very likable and charming film with a couple things holding it back from greatness. Still, I'd recommend giving it a watch. It's on Netflix, it's fun, it's breezy, you'll probably have a good time. 7 out of 10. Well, that was fun. Okay, time to make a big boy review now. Actually, nah, I think I'm just gonna lay here a little longer. I got the season finale of Bad Batch to watch, and the mid-season finale of The Owl House to watch, and I guess the Monsters Inc. show or whatever is on. F*** it, whatever. Good night, Tri-State Area.